The horror movie cation of Mama E with Natalie, a For the Love of Ghost podcast series. Part 1 of a two-parter. And welcoming our special guest and everyone's favourite goth dad, Dusty Gannon from Vision Video. Hello and welcome to the Weird Place, and with my guru of gore, Natalie. And would you like to introduce our special guest?
We do have a very special guest with us today. We have Dusty from Vision Video. Hello, Dusty.
Hi there. Hi. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for coming.
We're very appreciative too.
Oh yeah,
Do you want to tell the story, Natalie, of how this all came about? It was a very surreal night.
So, I should point out, I've been following Dusty on TikTok and Instagram since about 2021. So a little while now. And those people that know Geraldine and I well know that we tend to meet up once a month with a group of our bestie guesties and pick a venue, go and get something to eat, maybe have a cocktail or two. And we decided that instead of going to our usual haunt, which is usually garlic and shots, this time we would go to Lost Souls Pizza, which is in Camden.
Highly recommend.
Oh, yes, definitely, awesome. Definitely.
Even good for the gluten-free of us, the gluten-free ones.
It's good for the vegans too. But this time it was like, so should we go for the evening? Normally we go out for the evening. We're like, no, this time let's go out sort of at lunchtime, early afternoon. Give us a chance to like talk more. It was our Christmas party. We were going to do Secret Satan instead of Secret Santa because that's just what we do. And
our elves.
We did our elves. Did we elves? So I disappear off upstairs and to go outside for a vape. And as I come back down, there is some people seated at the table next to us. And my brain went, you know who that is? And I went, do I? And my brain went, yes, you do. So I sat back at the table and I could not get my phone for the life of me. And I looked at Geraldine and I went, give me your phone and open Instagram. She's like, what? I said, just give me your phone and open it. Don't ask me any questions. Just give me your phone. So I'm like, who I thought it was. Which when I looked over, I went, excuse me, Vision Video. Ta-da!
Yeah. What a fun serendipitous thing, because we were playing at Shepherd's Bush, Empire, and our merch girl, Debbie from Scotland, she was like, hey, I've heard of this place for the past few years, and every time I come to London, I don't get the chance to go over there because it's in Camden and it's always kind of off from where we are or whatever. And she was like, but it's kind of like a Lost Boys themed pizza place. And I was like, well, why don't we go? We have tons of time, because we were the opening act and we weren't sound checking until much later. So we were like, yeah, let's just get like an early dinner. And we caught the bus over and, got over there pretty quickly. And we, just immediately we're like, oh, this is the spot. This is the greatest place, so we're having a good time. And yeah, and I look over and it's like, I've gotten kind of, I not to sound like a pretentious, like I'm such a celeb, because I'm not. I'm a Z-list TikToker. But it's funny because when you're in like gothy places, like whether it's an oddity shop or like whatever, every now and then I'll go into a place like that and people will just kind of give you a look and it's like, is that goth dad? And I'm like, and I just kind of, I've recognized that look and I just go, yeah, it's me. It's me. So that's basically what I just leaned over. I was like, yep, that's me. How are you? So, but we just start, I was just like, hey, what are y'all doing? And y'all explained, the secret, Satan. And, so, one of my favorite things to do is like, if we're out in the world and somebody's like not even aware of the fact that we're playing that night, I like to just invite people, because especially in the UK, we don't have like a large guest list usually. So I just like to use that to, bring in whoever we meet out on the streets. Sometimes like we'll even invite like people working at the hotel we check into or whatever restaurant we might go to. So it's always kind of fun.
Cool of you. We had the most amazing night. You guys, your sound is.
Oh, thank you.
Introduce me to new music, because I hadn't followed you. I'm all very new to all of this, and very much just at the moment my brain is like ghost. So it's actually nice to get new music and listen to other stuff. In many ways, not just horror.
That's probably the best way to find music too, is like to experience something new firsthand live. I mean, I love our records very much, but I think we're a better band live anyway. I just think that what we do comes across better in a live performance sense.
It's that energy when people are on stage. You get the facial expressions, you get it was just exactly. It was so much fun. And I had my moment. I can be pretentious now. Like when when we were about to chat to you at the end, someone actually turned to me and went, "This is really weird, but I follow you on Instagram."
Oh, cool! There you go.
God, that's just strange.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre thing because like I forget, that there are a lot of people that follow our social media stuff, and because it's like I do it here in the studio room, and I like kind of make all these silly videos and stuff, and I don't really think about it after I post stuff, other than just sort of engaging with people. But then you're like out in the world and people are like, oh, it's that guy, and I'm like,
and then random idiots like me in restaurants go, hey, are you?
No, it's great though. I always enjoy it because it makes it more real, and it makes it more of like I think that like social media is great in the sense that it has opened a world up for us that we would have never had access to. And we're like a totally independent band. I mean, the only thing that we outsource is booking agency, and that's a job I don't want to do anyway. But like we, as an independent band, it's so difficult, or historically it was next to impossible to get even on the marginal level that we're at, where we're able to just get by. We're not like blowing the lid off anything, but we get by with this band, and we do this full time, and that's all because of social media. But I think that there's also negative sides of that, where it's, they say, oh, we're so connected now, but I think we're actually very disconnected from each other because of social media, because of the divisiveness of it. And I mean, we all play into that, we all sort of get into echo chambers, and we all, sort of because these algorithms base the stuff you see based on what they think either outrages you or what you like. And so it's just not a very good environment for that. But anyway, that's just a very long-winded way of me saying like I really enjoy interactions like that, because it's like, oh, this is really a meaningful connection where you are meeting people in person.
And that's why we went out for that meal as well, because all of us initially kind of met online. It was
cool.
Yeah, we all met because of social media, because of the band, and then it's funny how you had the six of us sitting at that table. We are all six vastly different personalities. We all come from different backgrounds. We all work different jobs. We all, some of us have got kids, some of us haven't. One of the guys that's with us is not even from England. He's Finnish, but the fact that he works for an airline means that he's lived and worked in London for a long time, and he flies between here and the States. So we tend to work a lot around his schedule so that we make sure that he, and we all met because of this very silly Swedish band. And I think that just goes to show you not only the power of social media, but also the power of music and the power of community and the power of finding like-minded individuals who we may only have one thing in common, and it may only be this one band. Yeah. But then you start to dig a little bit deeper, and you realize that we've all got the same moral compass. We all believe in, the same things that way. We're all sort of the same political mind. We
all same filthy sense of humour.
Really stupid, filthy sense of humour. And then, Geraldine, I think, was the only one that wasn't, massively into horror movies. So I went, I have a new
mission. And this is what this caused.
I have a new mission.
And because a lot of Ghost is inspired by horror movies, I'm like, I
Right.
haven't watched these. Like, I really probably should give some of this go. Though we have realised I do watch horror movies. I like psychological horror, so I have watched like Misery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But slasher horrors or zombie horrors, not so much. Like I've watched God's one, like 28 Days Later, or the which I just think is Day of the Triffids in disguise. But there's just so many. It's like, and so it opened something up, and we thought, well, we could make a podcast about this. Me learning about the horror movies, and the one way to take horror out of a horror movie is study it like you're watching, going for a GCSE exam, which is like exactly. It's like, so because I'm sat there going, oh yes, the music does this, and underneath, but it's
right.
fun, like watching some new ones. And so you selected one for us, didn't you, Dusty? What one did I end up watching?
And so
twice now.
I think what it really boiled down to was when y'all asked what my favorite horror film was, which is Return of the Living Dead.
Yay!
Such a fantastic movie. It's such a I think the reason why ultimately that I love this movie is because it basically fully captures an element of everything that I love about horror, and its sort of versatility. And it sort of plays with the notions of horror. It's not just a straight up like scary movie. It has sort of intense scary moments to it that are a little more serious, but there's a lot of playfulness and levity to the movie too. There's straight up comedy to it. But it's got so many interesting aspects that I just love, and I think it does something that a lot of horror movies try to do but like fail to do, and it does it perfectly.
And I thought this film was fucking brilliant. Absolutely fucking. I was wetting myself laughing during parts of this film, and at other parts I was like, oh god, that's gross, oh
no. Oh yeah.
So that to me was just thank you so much for suggesting this film. It was absolutely genius.
Absolutely.
And this one's going to be on heavy rotation for me from now on.
I've watched it again since. It's so good. And I was like based around this group of friends, which I said like they were like a group of 80s teens from like the Breakfast Club, but a bit more goth.
Yeah.
It's just
they're just like the craziest, like grimiest little LA, or I guess it's technically Kentucky, even though they shot it in LA. They're in Louisville in the movie, but it's very like, I always like have to remember that because it's very LA, and they shot most of it in LA, but like it's just the grimiest little scuzzy punk and goth kids. And I think it was very like, in essence they are sort of very stereotypical, but there's a lot of just like playfulness to the sentimentality of it. And I do like the one of my favorite lines is just something that I think really is so much fun for sort of alternative subculture, which is when Suicide says he says it's not a costume, it's a way of life. And I'm like, there you go.
Of course he's saying that as Trash has got her hand,
or Trash rather,
Trash.
Totally naked, but for her leg warmers, because it was the 80s, and we knew that you never took your fucking leg warmers off in the 80s.
Right.
And he keeps telling her to have some fucking respect for the dead. She's like,
what are you doing? It's just like, what do you think I wear this for? It's not a costume, It's like,
that was probably like
across his nose.
I think that might have been when I was a teenager, like one of the first like naked women that I had ever seen on the screen. I was just like, whoa, like holy shit. I remember being like probably 12 or 13 when I first saw that movie and was like, what? I'm definitely not supposed to be watching this, but I was locked in. I was very fortunate in the sense that my parents were very engaged with me when I was a kid, and were great parents and are great parents, but they were very like laissez-faire about what I watched, which is, explains a lot in my life, I guess. But I remember renting that and just being like, whoa, this is a crazy movie, because it gets right to it, like
Yeah,
there's not a lot of
is it?
yeah, there's really not a lot of exposition in the beginning of that film. It's just kind of here are these punks.
I just love it.
10 minutes at the start, here's the zombie.
Yeah,
it's in Chekhov's barrel. Here's the zombie.
Here it is. I just love the bit though with Trash though. It's like Trash is getting naked again.
Yeah, again, implying this is a normal occurrence.
This is normal Trash behavior. This is what.
Yeah. And of course, she's played by Linnea Quigley, who is a really wonderful human being. I got to meet her 2 years ago. We do this thing, the show down in Pensacola, Florida, called Pensacon, which is just a kind of it's just sort of a fandom convention. It's pretty small, but it's really fun. It's run by this really sweet guy named Mike Hensley, and he has a really great connection with all these celebrity agents who bring all these wildly varied celebrities down to Pensacola for this weekend. And yeah, she was there back in 2023, I guess. Yeah. And we're guests as well, and I have like a table there where I sign autographs on headshot prints and stuff like that. But yeah, I snuck away for about 10 minutes because I was like, I'm gonna go find Miss Quigley. And I found her and I gave her a record, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I'm a huge fan. We're guests here. And I just gushed about, because she's actually, I have a tattoo of Trash on my leg. Let's see if we can get it here. Where is it? I can't remember where it is, but where is it? There she is.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's like a old school traditional, tattoo. But I showed her that. She's like, oh, that's crazy. I was like, yeah, But yeah, so she's super sweet. But she's like one of the archetypal scream queens of the 80s, And if you ever get a chance, if you want to do a fun deep dive on something that is so stupid, it's a really good thing to have on at like a party. But you've got to watch her horror movie workout tape. It's incredible. It's my partner Scarlett got it on DVD like last year, and it's just this like hour-long workout tape, and it's like borderline pornographic, but not quite. And it's just Linnea Quigley like working out, and it's just very hilarious. And she's like working out with zombies, and there's it's just so silly, but it's a lot of fun.
You're missing a trick. Geraldine is a personal trainer, so that's what she does for her day job.
There you go. Yeah,
that's what I do for a living. I train.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, you'll love it. It's super super ridiculous, and I think they just reissued it on Blu-ray as well. So it's pretty, like, when it was so funny because Scarlett searched high and low and bought it at some oddities market or something on DVD, and it was kind of hard to get. Now it's like you can just get it anywhere. It's on Blu-ray reissue. So but it's highly recommended. It's a good laugh. It's a really good time. But yeah, so she's
like a lot of fun.
She's great in return though, and she sort of, I think, is the most commonly associated character when everybody thinks of that movie. It's like, because she's
so iconic.
She's the like the naked girl in the cemetery in the beginning, but then she's later on like kind of this very ominous and scary sort of arbiter of the zombies. She kind of becomes, like, in my mind, like one of the figurehead main zombies.
And she gets what she wants. She gets what I mean, she did say right at the start that she has a fantasy about being eaten alive by a bunch of old men. And then what happened? Girl,
exactly.
Careful what you wish for.
I love that line. She's like, do you ever wonder what it would be like to die by being ripped apart by a bunch of gross old men or whatever? And the guy's like, no, I don't think about that at all.
Why do you even think like, and naturally she's like just starting dancing around, and you're like,
yeah, that's what predicates her getting naked. And,
she's just I think that the thing with that whole gang of teens is I think they were extremely clever in it wasn't just archetypes. It's not just tropes. They all seem to work, even though it appears to me that they don't even fucking like each other half the time.
No, they don't. They all seem to hate each other. I think one of my favourite lines was, "I don't even like you, but can you hug me?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've never liked you.
And I also thought that there was a very clever callback to Night of the Living Dead, in that the one character of colour is the smartest one of the fucking lot.
Oh yeah.
And I think had it been up to Spider, I think a lot more people would have survived.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's sort of the voice of reason throughout a lot of the movie.
He's the Ben of this piece.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that was, I mean, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Dan O'Bannon wrote this too.
He did, yeah.
So, I mean, he's like one of the original guys from Night of the Living Dead that wrote it with Romero. And, that's like, yeah, that's a good point. I think it's very likely that he saw, the more marginalized person in the group, obviously, I mean, not to relate everything down to things like race or sexual identity or anything like that, but like, I think especially even into the 80s, you still had a lot of really intense race relation stuff going on in the US. And, I think things were much better than they were than in the 60s, obviously, when Night of the Living Dead was written. But, it's still, I'm sure it was still something that they were thinking about. And a lot of those people in that time with horror were, and I mean, even now today still, obviously, but I think especially back then, a lot of horror was seen as such a niche kind of subversive thing that a lot of their heads were thinking about how to play with identities and expectations of certain people and stuff like that. So I think that's probably very much so, like, on purpose. Yeah. But it's he's always been one of my favorite characters as well. Yes. Because he's very he's just pragmatic, and he just seems to be one of the only people that isn't completely losing their shit.
Yeah.
Like, he seems like he's one of the only ones when they're in the mortuary where he's like, all right, we need to come up with a plan to like do something about this. He's not just like screaming and crying and running around. Yeah.
I like all the comedy elements to it as well, which like give you like the fact you come in and the first thing you see is the fact the medical business is called UNIDA.
Yeah. Yeah.
None
larger.
It's just like the little plays on stuff. It's quite, makes you think Acme.
Yeah.
But then it starts with this movie is all completely true.
Yeah, I know. Based on true events.
Based on true events. And then bang, smash it into, you need medical supplies. And you're like, okay, now I know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Where do we keep getting skeletons with perfect teeth?
There's so many like just silly little things in that movie that are just like little Easter egg things. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but in the office of the UNITA, there's like, on the wall, there's like a sight vision test.
Oh, and it says like Bert is an asshole.
Bert is a slave driver and a total asshole. and like, but it's obviously like a vision test, so it's all kind of broken up. And obviously Bert being the manager and owner of the corporation there. That guy is such a great actor too. He's obviously sort of a secondary character to a degree, but he's really, really fantastic. And I can't remember the name of the actor, but he's like a really prestigious actor who's been in a ton of stuff, and he was just like really well renowned. I think he did a lot of like sort of classical kind of stage stuff. But I read once
Lou Gulager.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, what a name. Yeah,
that's a great name.
But when I actually read some stuff about the movie and a long time ago, and I've seen a couple documentaries about it. And one of the things I thought was really interesting about the acting of the film was that they did a couple table reads of the entire script, which is where, the whole cast gets together and reads through the script together. And I think back then, especially in 80s horror, a lot of the productions were very like thrown together. They were very low budget. There wasn't a lot of time to kind of build dynamic relationships before you were put out in front of a camera and it was like right into it. But they did a couple table reads of this movie, and I think that really lent well to the chemistry because it feels very organic, like it feels very lived in, and the acting is, even when it's slapstick and kind of hilarious and silly, it feels very genuine.
Yeah.
And the chemistry is just really, really magnetic. And yeah, I think that's specifically because they had that time to do something that they weren't always used to doing. They just picked actors that were people that were just so good at those roles. I mean, they really just embodied those roles so well, and again, so organically. It just feels like now whenever I see any of those actors in any other film that they've done, I'm like, oh, I immediately just kind of revert back to Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, yeah, that's so and so from Return. That's so cool.
I will say this is the zombie movie that I think has got the scariest fucking zombies in it ever. Because not only are they fast, and I don't do fast zombies. Not only are they fast, but they're real fucking clever. They can talk.
Right.
Zombies. They're smart zombies.
They set traps. I'm sorry. Send more cops. Send more paramedics. Fuck off.
Yeah.
It's the voice, isn't it? Send more cops. It's like,
send more cops.
Yeah. It's like, it's sort of slapstick, but it's still kind of creepy because they are like able to. Yeah, they're very clever at bringing them in. Yeah, and then the Tarman zombie is just incredible.
Tarman zombie is so scary but so funny at the same time. And when he's like organizing it, and you're like, "What's he doing?" He's doing a rope. He's gonna actually open the door. He's not just gonna bang on it. What is going on?
Right.
No, he smirked. He smirked.
Yeah.
They were not smart when they threw something at his head and got his attention.
No, they are truly reanimated bodies.
Yeah,
they are reanimated people. They are not. It's not the
the mindless automatons. Yeah, they're clever for sure.
The only time I've seen something sort of similar where they were slightly more was Warm Bodies with. That's another one that I really love.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. You keep telling me to
I know
watch
it's Romeo and Juliet with zombies. It's just until they turn into like, I can't remember what they call the main ones when they go completely black and look like skeletons.
Right. Yeah, they're kind of feral creatures. Yeah.
So I was trying to remember. I knew there was one other film where there were slightly intelligent zombies, and that was the only one, but not as intelligent as these ones. They grunted to each other, not as much spoke initially.
Right. But that and I will say, I think the special effects, because it's all practical effects,
right?
Everything holds up. That torso zombie, when she's talking to them, is like, wow, she looks good.
Right.
It's 1985, so obviously they make it in 1984. It's like,
Yeah, I mean,
if anyone worries about spoilers, the film is
30 years old.
Yes.
40. Yeah, I know.
Oh God, it's 40 years old.
It's such a wild thing to me that's that old now, because like, I found this probably in the mid 90s or late 90s, I guess. And to me, it's like, it's just so bizarre, like moving through time, and all these like really classic things are getting quite old now. And
it's like that.
What are you talking about, Dusty? You're only 25. You can't
I
have been
wish.
alive back then.
Holy shit!
We're only 30, aren't we now?
Yeah, what are you talking about? I'm 21. Get over it.
I know. I'll be 39 this year, and I'm like, wow, it's creeping up, the big 40. But
we're past that, so we're okay.
Yeah, I think it's so funny because I used to be quite fearful of aging and getting older, but now I'm just. It's kind of a gift, because I mean, not to break it down to too deep of a thing, but like I've seen a lot of people lose their lives very young, and I think that really shifted my perspective on getting older. And
I would have thought that the jobs that you had done with, you know, being in the military and then also being, you know, active firefighter, I would have thought that a lot of those you would have seen a lot that the regular Joe on the street would not have. So
and you still get the sentiment of like, oh, I don't want to get older, but whenever I feel that way, I kind of get the experience of reminding myself like, oh, okay, well, remember that life is fickle and it can be taken from you very, very quickly.
My dad is like that. He's like, you know, yeah, you might not want to get older, but the alternative is kind of permanent. So, you know, let's you know, enjoy it. And I like being older because now when
exactly.
Someone might be a bit judgy. I'm like, yeah, but I don't give a fuck what you think.
Right. No, I think it's cool because the things that you care about in your younger years, you know, like are things that are just so trivial and so ridiculous. And now I like being 38 and I look back at my 20s and the things that I was concerned about are just so absolutely absurd to me now. I'm like, and I just don't even care, like even in the slightest about those things anymore. And your priorities shift, but I think for the better, because you just become a more experienced person in life and you start to understand what truly does matter over time. Because you do understand. I think the older you do get, the more aware of like A, mortality, but B, like what is important because your time is limited. You understand.
I stopped trying to be quite so sensible and try, you try to be grown up. So you like think everything has to be sensible. It's like, no, let's have fun. I mean, I embarrassed 16-year-old daughter monumentally by the you know, really, mom? Yeah, I don't care anymore. I want to have a good time.
That's in the job parameters, though.
Oh, hell yeah.
My
15-year-old are like, oh dear God, what are you doing now? You don't.
I mean, I think I was quite lucky in that, you know, I had my son when I was 24, so you know he's 21 now. So yeah. Oh my God, he's old enough to drink in the States.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that is something. I went to the States at 19. It was crap. I could sit in the bar.
Oh, yeah.
That was part of the restaurant. I couldn't go down where all the games are because that was the bar. I'm like, make sense to people. I don't even drink.
It's such a silly thing. It's so dumb. Like I spent, when I was a kid growing up here in Athens, you know, I kind of came back to Athens as an adult after I moved away for a while. But when I was younger, you know, I used to go see shows all the time because we have a really prolific music scene here, and I would spend a lot of time just trying to sneak into the 21 up venues, which was so frustrating because I'm like, I don't even want to drink. I just want to go see these shows or go to these dance parties or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of, it's nice in the way that we have other things now. Like I DJ a goth night here in Athens, and we kind of, it's 18 up because we do it at this independent movie theater that has like a venue space, and they do have a bar, but it's like they ID at the bar, you know, and it's a little easier for them. Yeah, but yeah, America's weird in that way, and I kind of hate it because there's so much of a like built up thing about alcohol here that when you do get to 21, you kind of go crazy for a couple of years. Whereas I think in Europe and the UK, you know, kids are able to drink beer at like what, 14, 15?
You can at home. There's a pool at home, but out and about is 18.
18. Okay. Yes.
Well, I think with a parent in a restaurant, you can have alcohol from a certain age. I was brought up very. I was brought up with quite liberal. Well, not really, but I was brought up with parents that had the opinion of, if you're going to do something, I'd rather you do it in a controlled environment.
Yeah, mine too.
So when we all used to sit down for a Sunday dinner every Sunday, we'd go to my grandparents' house, and they would all be having a glass of wine, and I would have a sherry glass. Tiny little sherry glass. Just sherry glasses with wine in it, and that would be, you know, and it was always made, alcohol to me was always very much as long as you respect it, it will respect you.
Yeah.
And I went, when I got to sort of 18, 19, I went off the rails for a bit.
Right.
I spent about 3 years of my life absolutely hammered, but I worked in bars, and I think you either you go one or two ways when you work in a bar. You either become completely teetotal, and even the smell of alcohol will put you off, or you become an alcoholic. And for that period of time, I was pretty. I was a heavy drinker. I was a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
Fell pregnant with him. Stopped drinking.
There you go.
And I think now that that he is 21, that he is of an age where he is. Yes, I'm still his mum, but we are still we're close friends as well.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't keep any secrets from me, which I'm really proud of. But I think that now he is of an age, and I think Geraldine might feel the same way now that her kids are a little bit older and they're more independent. I think she and I, because we had our kids so young, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think because we had our kids so young, we are now doing shit that we maybe could have done 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But now we're older, we have more life experience, and we have more money.
Yeah, it's great.
More fun with it, to be honest. More fun with it.
Yeah, so, that's another aspect of getting older that's a lot of fun, is like if you're kind of a weird person that's into weird stuff and you don't do the traditional path through life, you get to have a little bit more fun when you get older, because you definitely have better means.
My weirdness, or I let my weirdness out as I was very traditional, like seriously, so sensible. It was to the point.
Oh, you were so very Catholic.
I was
very Catholic. And now we just do stupid shit, like we buy dodgy looking vinyls out of the back of vans after gigs.
Yeah, after gigs. There you go. Hanging around.
Gee, I wonder what that could have been from. Yeah. Oh, that was such a fun thing.
Sensible, and like, because I thought that's what you had to be, and now I have way much more fun. Way more. I'm like, I do that to myself. I was 18 and I was like, I didn't like people who were being silly. I'm like, don't overdrink. What do you do? I mean, I went on nights out, but my sibling, my sister is 5 years older than me, so I'd go out with her and her friends. So I was going into a 21 pub at 16. But I didn't drink, so it didn't really matter. And then they were 21, I was 16, but because I was with the big group of people, I could get in, and they didn't ID like now. Now you always have to have your ID, even if you're not.
It seems
obviously over 21.
Yeah, I guess it is an interesting thing to me because, like, I mean, I was never ID'd once, which is clear because I'm very obviously not below that age, but. Like when we had Angelica with us, Angelica's 24 and she looks very young.
Yeah.
And it was funny to me because nobody ever once ID'd her anywhere in Europe or the UK. And I think like most people just have a sense of like, that person. I went and saw the Prodigy play in Manchester, like after our tour ended.
Wow.
And it was great. It was awesome. But I was at this like large venue called the Depot, Manchester, and it was there was just massive bar, very corporate kind of like O2 like venue. But they had a bar there, and I was waiting in line, and they did ID this one kid, and he did look very. I was like, this kid is maybe 16, I guess, but he was 18. But that was the only time I think I've ever seen anybody ID'd that I'm aware of anyway, in the UK. And it was
my poor kid. Because he's got such a baby face.
Yeah.
I don't know where he gets that from, Nat.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing, though,
But he gets ID'd all the time, and I know how frustrating it is because he is 21.
Yeah.
And the bar that he goes to sort of regularly, he goes out, maybe 3 or 4 times a month to the same. Always goes to the same gay bar.
Yeah.
So he goes for book club, and he goes for and he goes for all these different nights and stuff, and he just has the best time, and they're like family to him as well. But even in there, if they get a new barman in there, they'll look at him and go, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But it's funny because at some point it becomes not annoying and it becomes flattery. You're like, oh, I'm getting ID. Cool.
Yeah, it's like I went out to the States. One of my best friends lives in Omaha. And I went out there in 2017 because we were going to go to WrestleMania. So we did a week in Omaha, then flew down to Florida for Mania for a week, and then flew back up to Omaha. what I didn't realize was it's not like here where if you go to the bar and say, "Can I have a beer?" then they'll go, "Can I see your ID if you're old enough?" It's the second you walk in, there's somebody standing there going, "ID," and you're like, "Whoa."
Yeah, it's controlled like from
here.
entry. Yeah, I think
on nights out we got like some of the mums couldn't go in places because they didn't have their ID with them.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
And
yeah,
like we're a bunch of mums, like seriously.
yeah. Here it's gotten even more aggressive now because we have like a scan code, like a barcode on the back.
That's what local they scanned it. They'd scan your passport or your driver's license. They'd scan you.
Yeah. So it's very intense here now.
And we're talking Bexley Heath. It's not exactly hip and hap.
But these, I must have really, really confused a lot of people in the States because every time, whether I was buying cigarettes because I was a smoker at the time or whether I was, buying beer, they'd go, "Where's your ID?" And instead of obviously pulling out a state driver's license, out came my British passport.
Right.
And they were looking at it like,
"What is this?
How old?
The fuck is this? Whoa."
Yeah, and a lot of Americans don't really travel. They don't get outside of the country, let alone their own state or even their own city.
Yeah.
So it's very common that, when people from anywhere else in the world come to America, if they produce a passport, people are like, "Whoa, what is this?" And it's
my best friend,
I worked in bars for years, and
she does not have a passport. She
wow.
She went on a honeymoon. She didn't have a passport.
Yeah, it's super bizarre. I mean,
she went on some cruise somewhere.
Yeah.
She didn't have. I'm like, how did you go on? How have you been on holiday if you've never had a passport? She goes, "Well, I've never been outside the United States." I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's very common. A lot of people don't have their passports, and it's so bizarre to me. It's just, I mean, I understand it in one end because getting out of the US, like to come to Europe or the UK or anywhere that's not Canada or Mexico, is like quite expensive. It's the flights are just really insanely expensive sometimes. But I'm also a big believer in the fact that like if you make travel a priority in your life, you will afford it and you will save money for it. And I'm not like Mr. Moneybags every year. Like, and I live reasonably comfortably, but I'm not like making tons of money. But I travel regularly with my partner because we set aside money from our income specifically in our budget, so that when we do have an idea and we do have things that come up, it's like not as much of a strain. And I mean, we spend a lot of time at home when we're not like out on the road or out traveling. We're kind of homebodies for the most part. I've been home for the past month now. It's been almost exactly a month that I've been home. And I mean, the only time that I really go out is to like, there's a kind of a neighborhood bar. It's kind of a pub type bar, across the street from my house now, which is so nice. And right next to that is a coffee shop that's really great. And that's like the only place that I have been, with very few exceptions, for the past month.
It's because you're surgically attached to your cats. That's why.
I know. God, it's so great. Yeah. It's like, but I've been painting minis. It's been great. Yeah. It's just lovely to just like, it just turns off my brain. I just like sit there. And for those of you that don't know, I paint and play like tabletop war games like Warhammer, which is from England. It's a big thing in England.
My nephew's just really got into it. He's done some.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's 13 and he sends me pictures. Have you seen this one?
That's awesome.
Like, yeah, that's really cool. And
Jay does that too.
That's when I got into it, when I was about 13, and I sort of stopped playing the game when I was about 17 or 18, but I kind of recently have gotten back into it. I guess it's like my midlife crisis or whatever. It's like some douchebag guys in America will buy like some fancy car, and I just bought a bunch of plastic Army Space Marines.
Listen, you're in good company. If it's all right if it's okay by Henry Cavill, it's all right by everybody else.
Exactly.
I know. I saw his interview where he was talking about like when he goes to show people his Warhammer collection, and they're just like, "Yes,
what?"
Right?
Yeah, I'm excited. He's doing a show for Warhammer, And so that'll be really cool, I think, because he's an actual fan.
Yeah.
And he understands the lore, and everything he does is kind of awesome anyway. So yeah.
It's
but
like you've got a bunch of nerds in this room and we're all just speaking out about shit. This is just like
absolutely. But speaking about nerdy stuff, to bring it back around to Return of the Living Dead, one thing I really love, and a lot of people ask me, it's very common that I get the question of like, what's your favorite horror movie? And I always say Return of the Living Dead. And it's for all the aforementioned reasons. But one of my favorite things about that movie is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because the soundtrack really, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager and I first saw that movie, that I think one of the most notable things about that movie was the soundtrack for me. It was something that really grabbed me. And it was one of those, a lot of people associate 80s horror with like really intense 80s kind of synth wavy, very like, John Carpenter obviously is like one of the people that comes to mind with like really intense soundtracks or scores to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there is like a score to Return of the Living Dead, but it's kind of rock and roll.
Very bouncy.
Yeah.
Very upbeat.
And then on top of that, they use soundtrack with all these iconic sort of punk and goth bands. You have the Cramps, you've got TSOL, you've got 45 Grave with Party Time, which is such an iconic.
Do you want to party? It's party time. I was like, that was
the Damned are on there. Rocky Erickson is on there. It's so good.
Yeah, and there's so many cool like little factoids about the soundtrack. Like, for example, the music supervisor of the film contacted the Cramps because they were like, well, I feel like the Cramps would be great for this soundtrack. So Lux Interior apparently answered the phone one day. It was like a Friday evening, and they, this producer or the music supervisor, whoever, was like, hey, we love you guys. We're working on this really kind of fun teen but very like risque horror film, and it feels like right up your alley, and we were wondering if you guys would like to write a song for it. And they kind of flipped through the script, I guess, or whatever, and they said, oh yeah, this is great, we'll do it, yeah, for sure. When do you need this by? And apparently they were like, Monday if you can. So they wrote and recorded Surfing Dead, which is my favorite Cramp song. They wrote and recorded that in like a 48-hour period.
Wow.
So that's pretty fun. And then the other interesting thing about that soundtrack that I thought was really cool was that they took the 45 Grave song Party Time. If you actually listen to the original, which is already a song, that song is about a child murderer. Nice. And it's literally, they just read like an article of this child murder that happened in LA, and they sort of just took lines from the article and made it into lyrics. And it's like, it's kind of a tough song, and I think that at some point somebody obviously was like, hey, we really want to use this song, but can you change the lyrics? Because the zombie version of Party Time is about the movie. It's about kids accidentally causing the zombie apocalypse and all getting murdered by zombies. So very different version, but it's also a much more fun. Like the zombie version of that song is way more driving and kind of like dancey, and whereas the original version is like kind of slow and weird in moments before it starts to pick up, and it's just a little more dissonant, and it's kind of creepy. But yeah, I think the whole soundtrack it's just so iconic, and it really lends into this really amazing confluence of like horror and music and subculture. And it just feels, I mean, that whole movie to me just feels like such a time capsule. It's like, what a great little way to look into the past and see like, what was it like, what was punk and goth subculture, like, in a way. And it's like, go watch Return of the Living Dead. You'll see like the fashion, you'll see the makeup, you'll hear the music, you'll get the vibe. Because I think that subculture back then was also very much so edgier, than it is now. Like now it's kind of mainstream.
Yes.
And it's not like, or it's not even necessarily mainstream, but it's more like acceptable to be like fully gothed out or fully punked out. If you're in
go around with strange color hair.
Exactly. Like nobody really bats an eye at it anymore, which is a good thing that we can express ourselves. But I think back then you had to have kind of a chip on your shoulder to a degree,
and absolutely fucking massive bollocks as well to do it.
Yeah.
You're proving. But we mentioned that also when we were watching The Lost Boys, because that at the beginning shows a lot of the punk and goth. So when I was showing people that look like you and me, Natalie,
I know.
It's like,
this
is the weird vibe,
right?
But you look at, and as you were saying, it is a time capsule. But I'll tell you what else I think it is. That Return of the Living Dead is a love letter to that era.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can see that it wasn't made on the fly. It was made with genuine love and affection. It's actually got a really fucking good script. It's got a decent script. It is genuinely well acted.
Real thought out characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's you can tell that people have worked on their characters. You just have to look at a character like Suicide, and in any other film, he would have been the token angry punk,
right?
The very characterized as unintelligent,
right?
He wasn't. He's super sensitive.
He's so sensitive.
He cares about the punk way of life, the ethos.
Just want to give him a cuddle.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
It's
so
disappointed he got killed off so soon. I was
like, oh, for God's sakes, why?
There's I think they do that to sort of dysregulate your perception of what's going on, because he's the leader, he's the guy,
like a really important part.
And if you take him out like in the beginning, it sucks because you want to see more of him, and I think that is done on purpose, because you're absolutely right. Like you only get these couple little moments of understanding that he isn't face value, he isn't the stereotype, he's got some soul, and have some respect for the dead, and this isn't a costume. There's all these like moments where you see that he is, and he's also the leader. They look to him to kind of like, what are we doing, what's the move? He's got the car,
okay,
so
he's very gentle and very sweet, and he's you only ever call me when you want to ride somewhere,
right. So I
think, got no windows in my car, man. I smashed them out.
Exactly. So removing him though is one of those things where it kind of throws you for a loop, because the person you've attached your subconscious level, even that you're like, oh, this is their leader, and it puts them into disarray because they're all sort of trying to figure out, well, what happens. But then it gives it dynamic to the sort of storyline progression, because Spider does kind of come into this.
He steps up, and
because he's sort of like definitely the quietly stable one of the group of the whole movie.
He's the stable one. Everybody else is fucking batshit crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, even Bert and Ernie in the mortuary have gone fucking doolally. I did call very quickly that
you did
the two that were affected by the gas.
Yeah, that they were.
I called that they. Yeah, I was like, oh, they're dead.
I still love that. Do you think you're brave? No, it's made by the American Army.
Yeah, this stuff is made by the U.S. Corps of Army Engineers. Bam. Yeah, I really love, and that's actually.
Why did you go into the army again after seeing that?
Right. No, the funny thing about that movie too, and I think a lot of people sort of downplay it or overlook it, is it's a really big anti-military industrial complex movie too, because like it's like with that line and with this sort of typical army fuck up. They got this is all based on something that really happened, right? Have you ever seen Night of the Living Dead? That actually happened, but it was smaller, and they changed facts around. They put these bodies in these barrels, and we ended up with one. So things like these little moments that you get insights to, it's a very pointed message. And I think it was, you look at the time of the like mid 80s, we were in full swing in the Cold War. Nuclear threat was a very big prescient fear in everybody's mind in the world. But especially I think in the Western world, everybody was just raised to believe like, oh, the Russians, they're going to come through the Fulda Gap and everything is going to get nuked and we're going to live in nuclear winter. And they had movies like The Day After and all this sort of thing. But so there's all this messaging in the movie about the incompetence of the military and the uncaring nature of the military.
And they filmed those bits where he comes home as well. Like,
the colonel.
I had it at lunch. I was like,
and he's just he's just such a prick, and his only concern is like this very specific job that he has to be always attentive to finding these barrels they're gone missing. And it's just like, it's so funny, like at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, when the whole thing boils down to this very kind of brash decision where they're like, it's getting out of control, just nuke it. And then they're not realizing that it just makes everything worse.
You've made it 10 times worse.
Yeah. So
now the acid rain with the stuff in it is now making everything come back to life. Well done.
Right. I really hate the fact that the second film is kind of a terrible movie. It's really, I mean, I've got love for it in the way that when you grow up watching something that's bad, and you don't understand it to be bad because you're young and you just like, oh, it's a sequel to one of my favorite movies. So I kind of loved it. And it has some really great moments in the second one, but it's kind of a bad movie. And it's so bad, in fact, that I have the Blu-ray, and there's like a special feature documentary that they made about the second one. And it's so funny because they interview a lot of the people that made the movie and like the actors and just various people involved. And almost everybody is like, yeah, this movie kind of sucks. Like, it's kind of a bad movie. And like, we all kind of got the sense that it was not very good. It's not very good script. But we tried to make do and make it the best we could. And there's like very like different people saying that same message over and over again. But it's such a bummer to me that they could have had this opportunity to sort of continue the story, not even necessarily with the same characters or anything, but like they could have died. They could have gone, well, Louisville, Kentucky was nuked and this spread and it makes it like broader. But I don't know that it ever needed a sequel anyway. But
4 sequels.
Oh, I know. The third one is pretty good, and then the rest of them are terrible.
Like the Superman movies. It's like where you go, just don't pretend number 4 never happened. Just ignore it.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I like the fact that in this, the zombie actually tells you why they eat the brains. Like, I've never seen that in another film. It's just brains.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, we're in pain. I can feel myself rotting. It hurts. And the brain, eating brains, numbs the pain. So basically they're addicted to this.
They're self-medicated.
They're self-medicated.
Exactly.
You almost think, well, if they, slow down, maybe someone could help them and they can find an alternative and not like go and eat people constantly.
Right.
There is a reasoning behind it, not just that they have to, that they need this to stop the pain.
Right. And I think that's like also messaging about, drugs and that was a big thing back then. In the US, we had the drug war was in full swing under Reagan. And it was like, how do we deal with this thing that's not going to stop? I think a lot of the stuff like very much so intertwines, because under Reagan it was war. It was the war on drugs, and destroy that. Like there's no one to kill that stops the influx of drugs and the problem of drugs in the community. But what does stop drugs is like, community mutual aid and resourcing and stability
and education and
economic opportunity, and just like providing a platform of rehabilitation and viewing it as a medical problem.
Yes, we had some. We obviously, we're in the UK, we're a sort of a small island, but I think especially in the 80s, a lot of our culture was very heavily influenced by American culture. My parents were very pro Reagan. My parents were also pro Thatcher as well, and I've never actually forgiven them for that. Which is why my political views swung completely the other way. But so we had a lot of that whole, I distinctly remember being about 8 or 9 years old and being at school and having the conversation of, this is what drugs do to you.
Yeah.
This is what cigarettes do to you. This is what alcohol does to the body. But this is, if you take one drug, you will die.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just say no.
One drug, you will die. And we had to just say no campaign here as well.
Say no. Yeah. And it was like, had lots of famous people in it, didn't they?
Right.
Singing and all sorts going on.
Yeah, I mean, in the States, you have people like Drew Barrymore and Michael Jackson going to the White House and, and thank you very much, Mr. and Mr. Reagan,
right.
Mr. Reagan, and all this sort of stuff. And of course, Drew Barrymore was shoveling as much Mexican marching powder up her nose as she could possibly get her hands on at 17 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it's those people were so massively hypocritical. I think that this movie has definitely got some subtext to that, and I think it's that's one of my favorite things about horror, is that it's so often just sort of written off as like, oh, it's just people getting senselessly slaughtered and gore and breasts and nakedness and violence and all this, and it's like
extremes,
and it's like, well, yeah, it is that, because I mean, we're humans and we have like visceral reactions to these things, but it's so much horror is so much headier and more clever and has so much to say. And I think that's why it really resonates with people that are a little off, are a little more of a tilted axis than other people, because we see these things and we get that subtext, even if it's on a subconscious level. A lot of people understand these things. I mean, a lot of people do just only respond to the violence and the sexuality and all this sort of thing.
I don't know the reason why we like this movie.
Right. But and there's nothing. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that either, though.
No, exactly.
And Linnea Quigley does have a beautiful set of tits on her.
Oh, she's amazing.
Because she wanted to be completely naked, didn't she? I'm sure you
about
the fact that they made her cover.
She just had a little tiny pair of panties on.
Yeah.
But if you look at Linnea Quigley's, if you look at her, look at her list of credits, she's an often naked.
Almost every time.
If you look like that, why wouldn't you be?
Exactly. If I had a body as banging as that, I would have my clothes on every 5 fucking seconds. Look at my tits.
Yeah, I mean, it's she was definitely not shy in the 80s for sure. I mean, and I think that's just like, it's another like really fun form of subversion where it's like, it's never like so grotesquely like off the rails sexual.
No,
it's just sort of like shameless, which is good.
She likes her body and she doesn't mind showing it
off.
And I think sex positive,
right? And as we should be, and it's just so funny because I think society has progressed dramatically more so, but it's like an interesting thing to me always where like, at least for my upbringing, like my parents were way more concerned with sexuality being something that I saw in media, like whether it was movies or video games or whatever. They were way more concerned with sexuality than they were with violence. And I think most people are like that, which is so bizarre to me, because it's like, here is this very human, very natural thing that we all have within us, and that we all experience, and we shouldn't be ashamed of, but we need to understand it. And there are risks, there sexuality is something to be revered and understood, but to understand the risks therein is an important aspect, whereas violence is so absolutely rarely necessary. And it's like, it's almost like, for most people, there's essentially never a reason to be violent
like that. No.
So, like, for us to, as a society, to be okay with violence, like really graphic, intense violence in media, but then, like, whenever there's a pair of breasts that pop onto screen, it's like, holy shit, let alone any other further nudity. I mean, case in point, she had to be in some level of clothing in order to do that scene, lest they get like an X rating or NC-17.
She kept her leg warmers on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, that's enough, but
yeah. It's so true, isn't it? Because it would affect the rating, whereas the level of violence doesn't do that so much.
Yeah, you can lop off heads and have blood spraying literally everywhere, but God forbid a labia appears on screen, and then it's game over.
Woohoo!
That's part of the reason why, if you go back and you look at the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there is very, very little blood in that film.
Right.
And they did it to avoid getting an X rating.
Yeah. It's very bizarre to me, and I think it's like, it's so funny because it's very telling to the point of, in America at least, and I think also very much so in England in the 80s, especially with the video nasties and all that. But like,
oh yeah, it's heaven forbid you try and get your hands on a copy of The Evil Dead in 1985. Oh,
I can only imagine. Yeah,
not fucking happening. No.
But it's so funny to me that there was this like deference of parents to the government, essentially, to say like, well, what is this rating? Like, what is my child allowed to watch? It's like, well, why don't you, there should be a system where it's like, here's what's in this film. And then it's up to you to decide whether your child is allowed to see this. I know I've
let my daughter see things because I know she and I can talk about them, and actually it's not a problem. And one of them, like, she was like 12 or 13, and it was really random one, not horror, nothing awful. It was the King's Speech. And I'm like, when is this a 15? And I worked out because it said the word fuck too many times.
Oh, God.
He learned to say, he had to practice saying it to help with his speech impediment. I went, what? I was like, you're watching something, I don't understand why this isn't a 12. Like, there is, I figured it out. I'm like, of course.
They actually, Simon Pegg actually went to the British Board of Film Classification while they were making Shaun.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, how many times can I say fuck before you give me an 18 rating?
Right.
And they were like, well, you can have 3 fucks and a cunt.
Wow.
Before you get to an 18. And he's like,
right.
Okay, good. Right, so scratch that one out the script, scratch that one out the script, scratch that one out the script.
Like, in a horror movie, I always laugh when they're not swearing. I'm like, oh, that's not realistic.
You would not say that. You would look at someone and go, oh, fuck off, you cunt.
Yeah.
I'll be done with it.
I know. I was watching some of the like side shows for The Walking Dead, and I was watching one of them last night, and that thought came into my head. I was like, this one scenario, they'd all be like, oh, what the fuck? Like, there would be it wasn't like, it was just so funny to me, like how censored things become, that the reality just gets swept out from under me.
I don't understand American film ratings. Like, ours to me are very simple.
Yeah,
you've got Universal, PG, PG-13,
right,
12.
It's 12A now, so they can be
and then 12A, so 12 with an adult guidance, right?
Gotcha.
Then 15,
18. Very few you get 18 these days. I mean, there's films that are 18 in the past, I think would be a 15 now. Anyway.
Yeah. And that's it. But you've got all these really weird ones like, what the fuck is an NC-17? What is the difference between NC-17 R and X? Please explain.
Sounds like a Starship rating, isn't that just
right? Yeah, you don't really get movies rated NC-17 because like most theaters won't take them, and like no like mainstream theater will play an X-rated film, because like basically X-rated is like pornographic in nature. Like there's going to be like graphic depiction of sex, or it is actual sex, whereas NC-17 is effectively like softcore pornography kind of level of things, but it's not actual sex, like not filmed like actual active sex, and ours, it's just like a lesser so version of that. Whereas I think NC-17 would be, I think it has to do more with like the amount of time that is spent on the act of sex, and it really seems to be the delineation between an R and an NC-17 rating is that act of sex. But that's like something that is not really, it hasn't been part of American like interaction with the film industry for a very long time. Like I don't remember the last time I saw a movie in general publication through the theaters that was like NC-17. I think it was probably the 90s, to be honest.
I'll bet you I can tell you what it was as well.
I think it was Showgirls. Yeah. That's like the iconic one, because everybody was like, whoa, NC-17, what is this? It's like,
can I just say, I fucking love that film.
That's such a weird movie. It's so much fun. It's really wild.
I love that movie. I love that movie so much. It is so bad, it is brilliant.
Yeah, it's very much a cult film.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in ages, and I need to go watch it again because it's so fucking ridiculous.
Showgirls, yeah, that's where I get Versace from, Geraldine.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
it's pure education for me. I am learning lots.
Yeah.
Now.
He says to her, "Nice dress," and she says, "Thanks, I bought it at Versace."
Versace,
nobody corrects her whatsoever. They just think that she's this like hick from the middle of nowhere, probably from the Bible Belt, has run away to big bad Las Vegas to, basically get her tits out and, shake what her mother gave her.
Yeah.
She says, thanks, I got it at Versace, and no one says a word.
That's amazing.
We have our pride, Marnie.
Yeah.
I love Showgirls. It's just, and did you know that's actually one of MGM's biggest money makers?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think that really worked for them though, like having this sort of forbidden nature to it, because it was like, I mean, that came out in the late '90s, and it was very much so. I remember even being a kid and like hearing about it was like, whoa, there's this crazy movie out right now, and like we can't see it, and it's just like. There was so much mystery behind it.
And the girl from Saved by the Bell has totally got her tits out.
Exactly. That was probably said by many hundreds of thousands of teenage boys. Yeah.
Berkeley from Saved by the Bell's got her tits out, dude.
Like, what would they have made of the Rocky Horror Show then? Like, that was just like... And that was
oh yeah, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is just.
I thought it was going to be so extreme because my sister is 5 years older, and I remember her and her friend being allowed to watch it. I must admit, my parents must not have known the content of the movie because they didn't watch it. And like, what am I missing? I thought it was going to be something so horrendous. And then when I eventually did watch it, I went, "Oh, it's really cool, but okay, I don't get the whole." It was like,
no. The first 45 minutes of it are really fucking cool. The second 45 minutes goes, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like Teddy knew he was a no good kid.
Yay! I love Meatloaf.
It's so good. Yeah, it's a movie that you couldn't make today, though. It's like
no,
kind of.
But those were some of the seminal movies of me being like not being a kid anymore and starting to be sort of like 12, 13, 14 years old. The movies that I watched that have shaped my entire personality since then. I saw The Evil Dead at 9 years old. Literally just as they raised the ban on the video nasties, I saw the first Evil Dead at about 9 or 10 years old. I saw Rocky Horror Picture Show way too fucking young. I saw The Lost Boys way too fucking young. I saw The Omen before I was mentally able to compute what was going on. Right. I saw The Exorcist, I think for the first time when I was 15 or 16, scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, same.
I never watched it again.
Explain so many things.
Can you see why I'm so fucking warped?
Yeah. I'm watching these things now, going, oh, I think that's very clever. Oh, you know.
I've worked something out about my friend here.
The Exorcist moment, it's like Indiana Jones for the first 15 minutes. Was it?
Right. Yeah.
Like, oh, come on. Yeah.
And it was that, and being of an age when, and Nightmare on Elm Street, and being of an age when we had, I think I was really fucking lucky in that I was born in the year that I was born in, and that all of a sudden the early 80s, and then early to mid 80s, and then as I started getting into movies and music, it was, you start get all those really, really fucking cool rock and metal acts. When I was about 9 or 10 years old, I started listening to, I mean, Bon Jovi was a gateway drug into metal for me. I wouldn't say they were metal now, but they were huge. They were the biggest rock band on the planet. Yeah. And it was Bon Jovi, and it was Def Leppard, and it was Warrant, and it was Skid Row, and Poison, and Guns N' Roses, and then you start getting heavier, and then you start looking at the new wave of British heavy metal, and you start bringing Iron Maiden into the mix, and and you can start to pulling at all these threads from when we were kids, and it's like, and this has shaped who we are, and I think it's so fucking cool.
End of part 1. Thank you so much to Dusty for being an epic guest. We appreciate you so much, Goth Dad. Thank you also to our listeners for joining us. You rock. Come and haunt us again soon as we continue in part 2.